today's episode of Why Aren't You Wholesaling, episode 4, is what are the actionable steps to get your first wholesale deal? I'm going to let Zach answer this question first because I want to answer this question first. But we're going to let Zach answer. Zach, you got to give the specifics. You got to give the details. What exactly are you doing to find your first wholesale deal? There's so many different methods. What's your plan of attack?
I mean, I'm going to go to the MLS. I'm going to offer creative, low equity deals, obviously, no cash. And then we're going to, that's what I'm probably going to do, And, according to the Garn Act, we're just going to take it subject to the mortgage, put it in a trust, keep it at 80/20. And that's probably what I would do, and just, you talk to 10, you talk to them, you got to know what the objections are. And that's what I do.
Oh, yeah, that's what you do, Doug?
I'm just joking. That's what Richard's going to say, right? I'm saying what his. Well, like, the reason is I just said that in under 30 seconds, but that's basically what his whole. Richard will give you a whole 50-minute explanation, but that's really what it is in 30 seconds. Go to MLS, offer creative, deal with the stupid
Close.
agent, and just explain it. Now, I really simplified it, but like, honestly, you just find a realtor that can't sell their stupid deal. You offer payments, and what I tell everyone with realtors are they only care about their commission. And so if you explain that they'll get paid, they'll actually present it. That's it.
Well,
I'm
shoot.
kid, but
That's a
like,
pretty good idea. That's a pretty good idea. I like that.
and that's what you do, right? And honestly, like, it's not a bad one. I personally, that's not my thing, but honestly, that's how you do it, right? And if I heard that method, I'd be like, okay, Richard, he's 100% a realtor, and this way he's doing it. But the one thing I would tell you is if you are doing well with something, do that and disregard everything I say. So if Richard told me he's making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month doing that, I say just skip whatever I say, just throw in the trash. For the vast majority that try that, I have found on my people that it doesn't go well, but they're not good at creative. And the one thing you're good at is presenting it with a realtor because you're just a subject to guy. And no, you're not. I prefer off market real estate. I just did a massive challenge about this. We've gotten more testimonials than anything from it, but I just tell people to get in the car, drive for dollars, government lists, call them, text them, and do the whole off market thing.
I have
Because
to ask.
we have no
I
money.
have to ask on behalf of all the viewers. When you pull a list, a government list, and you pick up that phone and you dial them, or oh my God, stop texting me. I'm so mad. Do not disturb. No more text. When you pull a government list
Yeah.
and you have a massive list of properties and you put it into your dialer, my experience has been the number you have dialed is no longer in service. Goodbye. Over and over and over and over again.
It's
And then when you
interesting.
do find somebody, they're like, I want to sell, but I want to sell for top dollar. And then we end up lowballing them. How do you get past that?
Well, when you did that, let me ask, what list was it?
Oh my God. What did I pull back in the day? I feel like years ago I might have pulled like a water shutoff list, but this is
From
years
where?
ago. I don't even remember what I pulled. All I know is that for months on end I tried calling the lists with dialers and it didn't work, so I switched to text blasting. Text blasting worked a little better for me. I had some luck with text blasting, but essentially every list I pulled
Yeah.
I would just I'd get like half of them. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. Goodbye. And I'm
Well,
just like, oh my God. And then when I did get on the phone with somebody, they were either furious that I had called them or they did want to sell like 2 months out for like ARV. And I'm just like, why don't I talk to people who have already made the decision to sell their property by signing a piece of paper called the listing agreement, put that shit on Zillow, and then let them just sit and sit and sit until they're all mushy and ripe, and I can hit them with a good offer.
I do what you do. So if I try to do, let's talk about cash only, okay? Which is for everyone that it's wholesaling the way I look at it, right? Let's get rid of the creative part, okay? Let's just do the wholesaling specific part, right? If what you do is you hyper target, you go after the beat up properties, the ones where the most motivation are for the realtors. Now, if I did the Richard thing and you don't work, you probably have 100 people on your Discord a day that say you suck, you don't know what you're doing, and you're terrible.
Oh
And
yeah.
what they do is they go to the MLS, they go to Zillow, they go buy new listings, and they'll do 1,000 listings. They'll get no one accepted because it's all brand new, nice, sexy properties, and they say you suck. Let me be honest with you. Let me flip it on you, Richard. You probably did the same exact thing. You just went off of any type of motivated seller list, and that's all you did.
Yeah.
Now, what I do is I'm like you. I hyper target the motivated sellers. That's what I do. So most people they pull lists from a software, right? They'll pull 1,000 vacants and then they'll complain about how it didn't work. I'm the type of guy that says, well, why don't you just go pull a code violation list and then you call those people. What I've personally found, if you don't even use XLeads, right? If you use True People Search cyber background checks, you'll have a 15 to 20% contact rate, which means, Lord, which means for every 100 people you call, 20 of them pick up. Those are
Mm,
pickups. And
okay.
so
Okay.
from the hundreds of thousands of people I teach, they're roughly around 15, 20%.
Now, what's
No
special
doctor.
about the code violation? Code violation. So I did water shut off, but I really don't
Yeah.
know. It just sounds like a
Yeah.
familiar name. I don't really know what I pulled like 3 years ago when I started doing this. I have no idea. What's special about a code violation list as opposed to all the other lists? Why is that going to have a higher return on call investment? Why are people going to pick up that a little bit more effectively?
Boy, that one's easy. Honestly, so Rich, let's do this. Let's do a challenge. I know you have a nice house, right? Let's say you don't cut the grass on your house. How long till that thing looks disgusting?
I
Probably
don't
six
have a
months.
I don't have a lawn, but let's say I don't cut the grass. I mean, I don't know.
So,
If I don't cut the grass on my rentals, the HOA starts to make a fuss in about a month.
okay, let's say there's no HOAs on the rental and it goes tall. What happens is if you don't cut your grass for 3 weeks, the thing starts looking disheveled. Co Code enforcement's going to come by because they drive around the neighborhoods and they look for ugly houses to slap $50 a day fines on. They'll put you on the list and start charging you. What I do is I go to code enforcement and say, can I get a list of all the houses that you drive by every single day that have tall grass? And they say, we can't give you that information. And I say, you legally have to. It's the Freedom of Information Act from the United States government. I think I can fix this. And
Dude,
basically
it's
what
not even bad. It's not even his lights keep shutting off, guys. It's not even bad, honestly.
just
Like
Rich.
even when the lights shut off, it's not bad.
Okay, so one thing I can tell you here is I can get a list from code enforcement. They have 3 to 4 people in my county that drive and they do that. These are people that they go around looking for houses of tall grass. And they have 100 for the month for tall grass. I get that. They also drive around look for houses where basically the windows are broken. That's against code. I get that list. And these are just 3 to 4 people every single month for the code enforcement, and they drive around looking for the ugliest houses possible. The coolest part, no software you can get it. And you're only going to call 200 in the month, and you'll probably get a deal from that list of 200. 1 out of 200.
Okay.
That's amazing for what we do. The reason why my method works so well is it's a method that's worked since pretty much the 1940s. And the reason is outside of really me and Rick, my dad, Rick, not you, Rick, um, I'm the only one who tells anyone about this information. And so that's why when you follow me, usually you get that info. Everyone else tells you to pull a list and call it. Dude, that way of wholesaling sucks, man. So that I think what was your skip tracing when you try to call? That
I
water shut.
used so the very first one I ever used, I found it on a Max Maxwell video. Y'all are gonna laugh at me, but it was an individual. You pay for individual skip tracing credits. You do this like real slow. You get like 20 skip trace credits, like a very small amount from Max Maxwell. Max Maxwell had some sort of skip tracing website. And when I first started wholesaling real estate, I would pull a list off of PropStream. I would put that list into the little skip tracing thing from Max Maxwell, and I'd pick up the
Who are you
phone
talking
and
about?
what?
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about
No, who's the
what I
guy
was.
you get it from?
Yeah, I used Max Maxwell's little skip tracing software
What's his
3 years
name?
ago when I started. You know who Max Maxwell is?
Is that his legal name? His real name? I
He's
don't.
like
I only know
he's
people by
like one of
their
the.
actual. I know only people by their government name. I don't know people by their stage name.
I don't know if he's playing with me. Yeah, from what I know, Look at the chat. Chat says Max
Uh,
Maxwell the goat. Yeah, yeah. Max Maxwell is one of the
Sorry. I only know Paul.
Paul McComa. Yeah, yeah, he's cool
No,
too.
no, 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 not him. That I know a guy there. His name is Paul. He was wholesaling, but I don't know that guy.
Okay, I think what's going on is that Zach has some sort of beef with Max Maxwell,
I don't
and
have a beef with him.
you don't have beef with
Just
Max
don't.
Maxwell.
That's not his name though. That's not
Who
how I know
what's
his name.
Okay, well, there's a dude on the internet who goes by Max Maxwell. I
Oh,
haven't checked his birth certificate. He
okay.
goes by Max Maxwell. Everybody in the space knows who he is. He's big, big as
I
Jerry
know
Norton,
Paul.
big as Pace Morby.
Yeah.
And yeah, he does a ton of deals. He's been kind of quieter in this space recently, but in the past 3 years, he was huge in this space. And I used his little skip tracing software when I was 19, 20 years old to skip trace leads that I pulled off of PropStream, and I had a terrible time. And what really resonated with me is when Jerry Norton said, I want that seller to have signed a piece of paper saying that I am ready to go. I am ready to sell my house.
Hmm.
And at that moment, I didn't even run with that at that moment. At that moment, I switched to text blasting. And then I was using like a guy on Fiverr who used multiple different skip tracing sites to skip trace all of them. And then I was feeding a list into some sort of text blasting software, which has since become illegal. And I was texting 2,000 people per day, and that worked. It was expensive. It was very expensive, but that worked for me. And then I was able to really, really lower my costs when I just started calling the right people on Zillow. They're the wrong people on Zillow to call, and there's the right people on Zillow to call. And now, I mean, everybody in my Discord can vouch for this. If I make 3 calls, I get a yes. If I make 3 calls, I will get a yes. They have to be well targeted calls. Did you just go offline on my TikTok?
No, the thing, hold on. There you go. Try it again. Should pop on. There you go. I made my screen brighter. It popped me off for a second. Oh, pop back
Yeah,
on.
I just took you off my TikTok.
Oh, jeez.
I like to find people who have already decided to sell their house. I call so many people in a list, and I don't think I've ever pulled the code violation list. I don't think I've ever done that before. But I would pull a list off of PropStream, and it just the number you have dialed is no longer in service. Goodbye. Just over and over and over, and I was just so mundane to get a deal. And at least on Zillow, when you call somebody and they say, no, I won't accept that offer, I know you won't accept that offer right now, but you will later. You will later. Let me invite you. Follow.
No,
And
no, I'm just saying. I've only known people who do deals with Paul. That's it. So
what
where
I have to know the lore behind this. There's
there's no
definitely
lore. I just
something.
don't know who's. I only know people by their legal name.
There is some sort of beef. I can
It's not
sense
a
it from
beef.
a mile away.
There's no beef, dude. It's just I just know Paul. I only know Paul's.
Dude, you 100% know who I'm talking about, but I can't invite you to my
I
stream.
only
I don't
use
know.
I only use the word. Hey, no big deal.
Add guest.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. Oh my goodness. Okay, mute yourself again.
Oh yeah. There we
I
go.
I behind the scenes I'll figure it out, guys, and then I'll then
We'll
I'll,
figure
I
it
will
out.
well, behind the scenes I'll figure out what's going on because he's clearly not
I
he's
don't
not
even
what
have
no,
to.
he knows who he is. Chat, he knows who he is. He doesn't want to talk about it. I don't know why. I have no
I don't
idea.
need
I don't
to.
know the
Dude, I
story
don't even need
here.
to talk about it.
But
I
what you need to know is that this guy gets followers off of pushing people's buttons, especially big ass creators. He'll like with Jerry Norton, and I'm guessing something similar happened with Max Maxwell. And I don't know what happened with Max Maxwell. I have no idea, but I'll
I
find out later.
texted I texted Jerry a couple weeks ago. We're cool. I got no problem. I think he's great, dude. That's it. I did a video. I reviewed PropWire. I said, "Hey, can I put in the A plus category?" He said, "Sure." We're all good.
Hell yeah. Hell
There we
yeah.
go. There we go.
So
But
so so where do I get my code violation list? Where does that come from? We said actionable. Where is it coming from? You go to the
yeah,
county
so
website?
code enforcement for the county.
Code enforcement. So like how do we do that? We look up the
So
county like
it'd
for
be like
Memphis.
yeah, so it'd be the Shelby County code enforcement for Memphis, and then the City of Memphis code enforcement. You do there, you do pre-foreclosure. It's just hyper niched out motivated sellers of off market. Same way that you do it, but except yours is a lot easier because you can go, okay, go to Zillow, see how many days it's been listed, see if it's moving or not. You can even look at the seller's equity, like you get all that cool stuff. It's basically the same way, just you doing it off market.
Should we let the chat decide what they would rather do? I you know
We'll
I
see.
I will present my case and chat. You And here's what I will say. This works. So Zach's doing works. That is, yeah, that's what they've been writing about for like the past 60 years. You know, I I am not one to say that this doesn't work. You know, Zach does more deals than I do, right? Zach literally does more deals than I do. But the thing is, I just don't work that hard. Like we just don't work that hard. You know, I this is
Right.
my there's a bug on my computer, but I just don't do that much. So I'll tell you what I do, and then Zach can tell you what he does. I'll keep it short. Um, when I started wholesaling houses, I pulled the list and I got the number you have dialed is no longer in service. Like I almost became fun for me to say it at the same time as the little audio recording on the phone was.
Mhm.
But then I saw this video from another content creator who Zach loves. He absolutely loves him. His name is Jerry Norton. He's yeah, he looks at him like a father, really loves the guy. But he's just like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, dog.
I got no problem with Jerry. We're cool.
Of
I can't
course.
I can't control what he says about me, but he's a cool guy.
So essentially, you call people, you get a disconnected number over and over. And I'm like, okay, sure. And then you find the diamond in the rough seller who doesn't know what their house is worth. They give you that crazy, crazy price, and you make yourself $60,000. And apparently, you call 80 people, one person picks up. You call maybe 150, 200, you get yourself a deal.
Mhm.
That was my experience with this. And then I started calling people on Zillow, and I'll tell you how it went. I started in 2021. I found a house in Cleveland, Ohio, duplexes, two side by side duplexes listed for 150. And this was 2021, so the market was hot. I got these duplexes $20,000 below the asking price of the seller, and I posted that shit on Facebook Marketplace, and somebody gave me 13K. I was so dumbfounded. I was like, how is this possible? We're not talking like 100 calls. We're talking like 10 calls. I didn't know why I was offering on the duplex. I didn't even know what a duplex was. I knew absolutely nothing. I offered this person 20K below their asking price. I made myself 13,000. I did it over and over and over again, and then it stopped working. And that doesn't work anymore. That doesn't work anymore because interest rates, I didn't know this. I entered at the perfect time. But when I entered in 2021, interest rates were like 2.8%, like so dummy low that during your fix and flip project, your property would literally appreciate by like 20, $30,000. It was ridiculous. And then I kept trying to do that and it stopped working. And I was like, just left high and dry. Like I was doing no deals for 6 months. What the heck is going on? And then get this. I thought, why don't I just look at people and now for what I'm telling you, my conversion rate is 3. A good student's conversion rate is 10. But I find people who have their house listed on Zillow for 200 days, and where everybody else lowballs them, I offer them way over their asking price, like 30K, 40K over their asking price. For example, let's look at a $100,000 house in Detroit, Michigan that nobody's made an offer on, or Jackson, Mississippi that's been sitting there for 150 days. I call them up. I'm like, hey, I know you want 100, but how about 125, 130K? And they're like, huh? And you're like, yeah, I will give you 125, 130K. And they're like, what's the catch? And I say, the catch is you got to wait 72 months. I'll give you a down payment cash right now. I'll give you monthly payments. And on the 72nd month, which is 6 years, so you guys know, I'm going to sell the property and I'll pay you out everything else I owe you. Guys, I've got a 12-year-old with 5 of these in escrow right now. And you find somebody who's been completely lowballed, and instead of lowballing them, you offer them way over their asking price. And then if they're like, well, I can't do that, I'm not able to do that, you hit them with the lowball. And by giving, I was just listening to the 48 Laws of Power in the car. It's so funny. This episode, it must have been episode like 37, episode 38, says give your opponent options. And when you give your opponent options, they think that there's like a much they think it's better. They just like it more. They like it more. They don't think about what they're missing. They just think about the two options at hand. So you use the multiple offer strategy. Somebody's been sitting on market for 200 days, and you're like, hey, instead of lowballing you, what if I just offer you over your asking price? And then if you really want to do the cherry on top, explain why people have been lowballing them. For example, if your 100K house has an ARV of 125K and this guy wants 100K, say, oh, yeah, I'd love to give you 100K. 100K makes a lot of sense to me. Let's do 100K all day long. And they say, so I buy it for 100. And then how much did you say the rehab was? Oh, just about 30K. Okay, perfect. So I buy it for 100. And then I put in 30K and now I'm in it for 130. And
Mm.
then you said the ARV was what? Oh, 125. Oh, okay, got it. So I buy for 100, I put in 30. Now I'm in it for 130, and then I sell it for 125. And then I kind of add some inflection at the end, and I just pause and I wait. And they're like, oh, oh. And you make them realize that like math is a thing. And they just do the math with you. And they say, so this is why people have been lowballing. They're not lowballing you. This is just where they need to be. And he's like, but I don't like that number. And I say, okay, I don't like that number either. How about I offer you 30K over your asking price, but on a set of payments? Dude, 10 of those calls, deal. And I will say, it's only about a 7 to 12K deal. You're only making 7 to 12K off of a cheap house like that. But that's like 30 to 45 minutes for $7,000 to $12,000. And that's just one of my strategies. But my whole thing, guys, is I want that seller to be accessible. By the way, I will do what Zach does. I will skip trace the seller and I will try to contact them. But yes, still most of the time the phone number is disconnected. So I'll just go through the realtor. But I honestly, I love to do off market on market deals. Like I love to try to convert an off market on market deal to an off market deal. But I want the seller to have already said, yes, I'm selling my house. I'm ready to go. There's no hesitation. And also, I want them to be well informed about the value of their house through other people's lowballs. That's how I'm doing a deal. I'm just finding somebody who can't sell their house and I'm giving them way more than they ever thought they'd get.
I like it, man. I mean, my question for you is how, if it was working so well, I'm genuinely curious. Are you able to scale it out? Basically, what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean by that is, do you have a lot of your students who are scaling it out, or they don't
Yeah.
even have positions? They have people doing it.
There's those who are yes. So I actually have two examples for you. So
Okay.
I've got this guy named Chris who used to be in my community. He left my community. Now he does like 50 to $100,000 a month. But that's not even my good example. That guy hired VAs. He's doing his thing. The people who are really scaling it, we touched on this last live stream. Like Garrett, for example. Garrett just closed this deal right here. Garrett closed this deal. I have to go deposit this check. I'm running out of time. We closed this on the 23rd of December. This is a
Okay.
$100,000 assignment fee. Now, here's the thing. Garrett did not do this deal. Garrett did not. He didn't do this deal. Case in point, he didn't do this deal. But you know what he does?
Mm.
He is a go giver. He goes into my community. He answers the questions for the students who don't understand the basic stuff that they're still learning. And then because he answers the questions, they send him deals. And now everybody in the community just sends all of his deals to Garrett, and bro makes $100,000 per month doing that. He answers other people's questions. So it's actually great because he's scaling within my own community by helping other people answer questions where they just literally give him these layup deals where he's already under the rim. I mean, I'm going to do this live on TikTok right now. I've got about 10 people who are like, Richard, I've got hot leads. I need you to call those leads and close them. It's going to be the easiest phone calls of my life. And I'll make anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20K if I get a yes on any of those, which you guys will see right after this. But yeah,
Yeah,
you
no,
can definitely scale it.
I'm not scaling up money and time the same way. For example, did a 30-minute Zoom this morning, and that's it. And then the team does everything else, right? I'm
Mhm.
talking about people that have scaled out to like 10 hours a week, 5 to 10 hours a week, making 6 figures a month. Like, I'm talking about how can you scale at the time? Like, how can you get somebody to be in your shoes? For example, with off market, it's really easy for me to hire someone, have them just lowball, use my closing system and do deals. How how are you able to scale out an employee, even if it's a VA, to go out here and offer that? Because I feel like that's the one kind of bottleneck here.
I think you're always going to be spending some time on the phone, but if you're using the method where other students who are going out and making the offers for you,
Oh
you're
yeah.
probably taking about 5 to 10 calls per day. And then out of those 5 to 10, you'll probably have three convert, and those three will probably sell
Okay.
for anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000. It's less of a time commitment, I'd say. I'd say that you are scaling, but you're still going to spend time on the phone, but it's just really relaxed. Like Garrett doesn't
Yeah.
go into work. He doesn't go into work. He just kind of hangs out all day. and it's not very intense for him. It used to be when he was hitting the phones, but now that he knows all the answers, you can just become a leader in my community. And once you're a leader in my community, I mean, shoot, he probably spends an hour to an hour and a half on the day on the phones and makes anywhere from shoot, I don't even know. He's had 50K weeks recently, sometimes 20K weeks, but anywhere from 20 to $50,000 a week. And he's spending an hour to an hour and a half every single day. Now, me personally, I like working. I actually get the enjoyment out of my hobbies when I've done my work first. So I actually like to spend a little bit of
Yeah.
time in my business on the ground every single day because it gives me the satisfaction of I've gotten my work done. But yeah, you're in that. Sure, you might be able to hire a VA. You might be able to hire an acquisitions manager and teach that acquisitions manager. I don't see why not. I don't see why you couldn't hire an acquisitions manager to do exactly what he's doing where he's not there anymore. But honestly, it's just such a small amount of work for such a high amount of money that I'm just biting the bullet and not even a bullet. I like to do it. I have fun.
That the only way I'm trying to say my end is basically I'm able to do this at a high enough scale where I don't need to be on the phones anymore. But it takes a very, I mean, there's only probably a 1% of my community that's where I'm at, where they basically have seven employees and basically three acquisitions, two marketing, two dispo, and you're able to be like 5 hours a week. And then, but you, like me, then I end up, doing other stupid stuff to make way in the time. But that's the only thing about the whole, I know a lot of creative finance people that can do that. It's the whole scaling the unscalable. And it's really hard to make multiple Richards. You can get someone trained and get in the skill. What's really hard is finding an acquisitions person to do it like what's stopping you from doing 2,000 without a community like that a year, right? That's the one thing. It's like, how do I do it? I tried. I'm like, okay, how do I do 1,000 deals without a community? I still can't do it. I can do a lot. I can do deals a day, but I can't be doing, you know, I can't be doing 200 deals a month just without having a community because the scaling just doesn't work from there. I don't want to be the guy's 60 acquisitions staff. So it's always the scaling part. I'm always interested on it because I could take your model and grow it. But the problem is, what do I do? I get to a point where I just not enough time being on the phones all day.
Well, sure. That's why I recommend people rise through the ranks in the community.
Yeah.
Because if you rise through the ranks in the community, I mean, we have over 10,000 members, guys, and there's millions of listings on Zillow. There's enough to go
Yeah.
around. But if you become a group leader or a community helper and hold my hand wholesale, you hop into the live streams, you answer questions in the chat, and then at the end of the stream, I say, yo, if you guys need help with your deals, send them to this guy. And now you're in a position where for an hour a day, you could be setting yourself up to make $10,000. But
Right.
I think a more relevant question is because if we're being honest, like the majority of these people are like, how do I get my first deal? Not how do I scale myself out of the business? I know some people are asking themselves that question.
Hmm.
But what do we think, chat? What do we think if we used our two strategies? You're saying you need to make 200 calls to get somebody who wants to say like yes for a reasonable price and get a deal.
Mm, I would say 400 if you drank for dollars. That would be my thought. I mean,
Wow,
that's about, yeah, that's
that's more
about,
calls than I make in a month. I don't make I guys, I kid you
yeah,
not,
but
I
the
do
average
not make
call,
400 calls a month. I make
yeah,
3 phone calls per day.
okay.
Anybody who's at Hold My Hand Wholesale, I typically do 3 phone calls per day, and I typically pull a deal out of those 3 phone calls per day. My sentiment is if you spend 3 hours, like let's say with full understanding, let's say we've passed the learning curve. If you fully understand Zach's, if you fully understand mine, if you spend 3 hours with full understanding executing my methods, you will get a deal. Now that is assuming you're not incompetent. We can't have you on the phone.
Yeah.
Hi, I was gonna make an offer, and it's good because it's an offer for the house. You
Mm,
No, that's not gonna work. Okay, let's assume we have two competent individuals with
mm,
full understanding of our business models. I firmly believe it's gonna take you 3 hours. I came with receipts. I came with receipts. There's mosquitoes in my house. Anson, the 12-year-old, has
mm.
5 deals 1 month and 20 days into Hold My Hand Wholesale. He started his first day of middle school, guys,
Yeah.
last week. And I'm just like, I'm speechless at that. So that's, you know what? I will 100% yield Zach makes a lot more money than I do. I mean, maybe when I'm at
It's
his
not
stage,
about that, man.
I don't know what's gonna happen, but energy,
No.
time is more important than money, and I don't believe you have to spend a whole lot of time on it.
What's the length per call in those 3 calls, though?
I would say a short call is probably the initial pitch, which is about 8 minutes long. You have an
Hmm.
8 minute long pitch. They usually thank
Oh,
you so
wow.
much.
Wow,
Become
Chris.
Yeah, I
Impressive.
got a coffee service right here. See that?
Wow.
Got and you were telling me I didn't have it automated. No, but I would say your first pitch, I always start with a cash offer. Remember, giving people options helps. I always start with a cash offer. The cash offer is a facade. I call, when I call a realtor, either about seller finance or sub two, the first 5 minutes of my phone call is about a deal I don't even want to do. Oh yeah, and tell me about the neighborhood, and oh, and the roof, how interesting. And what about the short-term rental restrictions? I couldn't care less. And eventually I talk about the cash offer enough till they realize that this isn't a deal. The cash offer is not going to be a deal. And then I pivot to my creative finance. The pitch lasts for me about 2 minutes. And then the realtor says, huh, that I might be able to present that to my seller. Or you see the videos I post on TikTok, guys. We got one with 700,000 views. That's how those calls go. I'd say the calls are 7 minutes to maximum 15. 15. A big important part, guys, is know who to stay on the phone with longer, know who to hang up the phone with.
I like it. I just rather it was more, I just feel like I'd rather it be more like a business. Like last year I had a tonsillectomy, which was awful. And I was out for 2 weeks and my income didn't get changed at all because of that. Now, it's harder to do that on a on a method you're doing it by yourself. And so I'd like it more of a business wise. I feel like I feel like we can figure out a way to turn your method into an actual repeatable business. Like Richard, like do you think you could probably hire Anson when he's a little older to run your operations in your company? I feel like if you get a lot of so that's how I do my acquisitions. I try to find mini me's. People are like me. I train them, and then I don't have to do all that stupid stuff anymore. I feel like that's the thing you're
Exactly.
missing.
Yeah. So Anson, we upgraded him. He's a community helper. He's not a group leader. He's a community helper. But Anson, he just got not a sub two, a seller finance sixplex, and he didn't do the call. It was somebody else's. It was the layup for him. So,
Mm.
I think the trade-off, I may be wrong, but I think the trade-off is this. You're going to make more money with Zach's method. My top students make 100 a month. I bet Zach has students doing 500 a month, right? My top students, which is a
I
very
got a
small
guy in
minority,
Miami. I
make
got a guy
100
in
per
Miami.
month.
He's 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 probably going to be at 10 this year.
That's
He's,
ridiculous. And I don't have anybody doing that, but I tell you what, Garrett goes to raves. He hangs out with his friends. He goes out to dinner. He wakes up late. He goes to the gym. Bro lives his
you go.
life. And here's the thing. You're right. If you have your tonsils removed, you're probably going to slow down in the business for sure. But tell me if anybody else has noticed this in their life. When I don't work, I feel like shit. I feel terrible. I Guys, if I'm gonna go play Black Ops, if I'm gonna go watch a movie,
Yeah.
I need to get my shit done first. I need to. And it's not like I need to for money. It doesn't matter. I can retire off my cash flow right now. I need to for my peace of mind. You know how old people tend to die when they stop working? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not great for young people either. And here's the thing. I want to have like a European work schedule rather than an American work schedule where we have the 9 to 5. People in Europe only work about 4 hours per day. I want to work like 2 to 3 hours per day. And I want it to be work that I enjoy doing because I get a ridiculous amount of fulfillment out of putting my head down and doing something challenging and then go hanging out with friends doing something unproductive after that. That's why I went to the gym this morning. I didn't want to go to the gym, but I feel great right now.
I had an old man come up to me in Milan, Italy last year, and he was an Italian man. And I'm on my computer in the morning. I'm drinking coffee, and he's like, "What?" He asked me. I don't think I've talked about the story. He asked me, "Why are you working? You're in a beautiful country. You look American." I'm like, "How do you know I'm American?" I'm like, "Okay, fine." And he knew I was American by just how I dressed. And he said, "Why are you working?" I'm like, "You're traveling in Italy." I'm like, "Because I like making money." He's like, "For what?" I'm like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Do you make a lot of money?" I'm like, "Yeah, I make a lot of money." He's like, "What do you do it for a nicer car? Like, why are you working harder than you should?" I'm like, he said, "We in Italy, we don't do, we work to live." you guys live to work. And I was like, dang. And the guy like thick accent. I'm like, he's like, yeah, in Europe we work, but basically so we can go live and enjoy our lives. And you guys just work so you can get an extra bedroom, like a nicer car and all these things. And that's America. I'm like, and then I was about to say how America invaded Italy in World War II and you couldn't do anything about it. I could do a whole Mussolini thing with him. But I shut up and I just nodded and I said, thank you. And it was kind of funny. What you said just reminded me of that. And every single person I met in Europe was the same way, except for the French people. They were really rude to me. That was pretty much it. So everywhere except for France, live like them. We're good to go.
Guys, I am the king of incompetent people doing deals. I
Oh,
I tell you what, I have so many incompetent individuals who are making like 20 per month right now. Like people who should not be. Um and here, incompetent has a negative connotation, but here's the thing. You could be culturally incompetent just because of how you were raised. Like for example, if you only speak Japanese and you go to the United States, unfortunately you are incompetent. Like if you don't speak a lick of English, no words, can't communicate with anybody, unfortunately you're incompetent. And it's not that you're like slow, but there's just such a big language barrier. There's nothing that you can do. Those dudes, like with the really thick accents where life is impossible for them, they're not immensely intelligent, they're coming from foreign countries, and maybe they're coming from a foreign country at age 16. Yes, if you know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. We have 16-year-old foreign individuals who should not be closing deals, including Anson, but Anson is the most competent person I've ever met. His first language is English. I've never met a more impressive individual than Anson. He's the 12-year-old with the deals. But my whole stance is I like to work a little bit. I like to get my hands dirty. I like to do a little bit of the work. It makes me feel really good about myself after. And if I can just spend like 5, 10 phone calls of time to set myself to get a deal, that's what we tell our students. We tell our students 10 conversations per day, not 10 calls per day, 10 conversations per day. You're gonna have a deal in month one.
let me ask you this, Richard. What's the craziest country? Don't tell Anson. He's Singapore, so it's not really like a. What's the craziest country someone's closed your type of deal with, of one of your students? Like off the beat, you wouldn't even think about it.
You know, um, it's unfortunate, but there's a big connotation with scamming in India. And when you call somebody with
Yeah.
a very thick Indian accent, it's really hard. I've had a couple students in India and Bangladesh do deals. I've Paul Ranjan was his name. He closed one in I don't know. He closed
Yeah.
one in Texas, a sub two in Texas. It was really interesting. He called the realtor, no idea what he's talking about, and the realtor did the deal for him. I've never seen anything like it. The realtor said, "Oh, you're calling to pitch sub two. Yeah, it would probably be a deal at this number." And he was like, "I'm not going to impersonate him." But, "Oh, really?" Like wow, really? That's a deal? And she's like, "Yeah, that would probably be a deal." And I almost got myself canceled really
Oh
quickly.
yeah.
Uh, but he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." He brings it to me. I call the realtor, and the realtor's like, "Yeah, this guy, but whatever." And here's the thing, he didn't even use my contract. He used the realtor's contract. They used a state approved contract, wrote subject to terms into the state approved contract, and it closed. And this dude was actually like really slow. Like this guy got on my nerves. Like this was the type of dude who like twice a day, every single day says, "Has it closed yet? Has it closed yet? Has it closed yet?" And I was just like, the fact that you have a deal right now, bro, is ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. But yeah, probably India, and then probably I don't want to even say craziest, like most challenging culturally. Philippines, huge challenge. We got a 20-year-old girl in the Philippines right now with a deal. India, challenging. Bangladesh, challenging. My British kids kill it. The British kids crush it. They
Oh yeah.
instant rapport over the accent.
Oh yeah. You know how they talk. You know what they say about real estate investing in England? When I went to England, they're all like, "What do you do for a living?" And I'm like, "Oh, I invest in real estate." They're like, "Oh, you do property investing." They don't do real estate investing. It's called property investing.
I like that. We
I
make it
said,
sound too complicated.
"Is there a thing called property assignments?" Like, no, that's illegal here. I'm like, "Oh, I hate this place." But it was you can't wholesale there. I tried.
No, there's a loophole. There's got to be a loophole.
No, there is a loophole in Italy. where you can wholesale real estate. I talked to
Come on,
there's
you can't wholesale in England. Why can't I put a property in a trust and sell the trust to somebody else in England?
that would not be wholesaling. That'd be double closing or something like that. I gotta look at the trust law
Okay, well, there's your loophole.
in there, but in Italy you can do an assignment of contract. Luca Rabuffi, one of my students, he's one of the top guys. He was actually he's Italian, and he showed me all the laws and he said do a deal. I said okay. And I tried and it didn't work, but you're legally allowed to wholesale real estate in Italy, and that's where I'm trying. But the moral of the story is you can kind of get anyone to do anything anywhere. Like you can get anyone to do deals, right? I've got students in Tanzania. Mohammed, he told me he made 25 grand on a wholesale deal. He said my parents' combined income are $5,000 a year, and they're not doctors. They're like some lawyer or whatever. He made 25. He said I made 5x my parents' income this year from one wholesale deal in Tanzania, which is like northern Africa. I think it's by Algeria, probably.
Are you talking about Tunisia?
Tunisia, Tunisia,
It's
whatever.
it's spelled phonetically. It's spelled Tunisia, and it's pronounced
Tunisia?
Tunisia.
Oh, whatever.
Tunisia.
Wherever in
Yeah.
North Africa. And then I had a guy in Lesotho, which is an enclave of South Africa, do his first deal, made $30,000. So really, you can do this from anywhere in the world. I found out everyone's got internet connection, and I probably have 100 people last year that did a deal in Nigeria. And Nigeria is really where it's popping right now. And so Nigeria, South Africa are the top countries for me outside the United States and Canada. But those three right now, by far.
Hey, you know what I love? I got a guy in the chat right now. He says, I have a mortgage at 2.9%, 275K by my mortgage. One of the easy parts of this business, guys, is when you
Go.
when you start picking up the phone and yapping about what you do. And this happens for Zach too. People are like, I have a house, I have a house, I have a house. And you're just scooping up leads from the internet, and that's just easy for everybody. So the guy whose username is no, I just sent you my phone number. My phone number is in your DMs right now. Shoot me a text. I have a live stream on TikTok. Oh shit, it's in 12 minutes. We got to wrap this up. But I got a live stream on TikTok in 12 minutes. I'm gonna call you on my live stream, or a little bit before that. But yeah, I'm super interested. Oxford, Michigan, 2.9%. You say you need capital, I'm your guy, man. I'm your end buyer, absolutely. Or a wholesale it. Either way, same result for you. But yeah,
Here's the problem,
great.
Richard. Like we yap about the same thing. It's like BMW, Mercedes. I know you have a side you're very staunch on, but if the average person, like they're both vehicles and they're both amazing and they're both fast and cool. You could say whatever you want about whatever you want, but really they're both cool cars. I know, but they're both cool cars. But like honestly, like we could debate about this all day. Can you at least tell me you don't think an AMG is cool?
Oh, I do think an AMG
Right?
is
Like
cool.
I
But
think
here's the thing.
your M2 is awesome too. We can debate what's better, but like they're both awesome.
But here's the thing. Let me just really quick on that line of conversation. Mercedes does not make manuals. Uh, oh my God. And then the new C63 AMG, which has historically been a V8, is a four-cylinder hybrid that weighs more than a minivan. Yeah, it's fast, but like, dog, I was able to buy a manual transmission lightweight M2 CS. Oh my God. And it's just, why do you not make manuals? And why the hell is your C63 flagship sedan a damn four-cylinder? Get out of here. Okay, this isn't car talk, guys, but you know it could be.
No, but like you can yap about it all day, but like really, like they're both cool.
They're
You know,
cool. They're cool. There's
the
certain
problem is they're
AMGs.
both fast. They're
I
both
like
fast.
AMG. I like it, but you'll never. I mean, I don't even dislike AMG. I'm just like, it's a different. It's kind of like, it's the. It's the car that's not made for the driver. It's fast, but it's not made for the driver.
Yeah, I think Maybach's pretty fun.
Maybach's
Two
cool, huh?
two two-tone Maybach's pretty sick. But the thing is, we're yapping about two awesome things. And so we could debate it all day. It sounds really stupid to somebody outside of this because like you both make millions of dollars with both your methods. So it's like what are we talking about here?
I make
Really?
40K. I make 40K a year.
Yeah, there we go. A tax season coming up.
Yeah,
You
see
gotta
this may be for 100K, but it is a facade. I actually only make 40 a year. Okay. I got another stream in 9 minutes, dude.
There you go.
We've answered the question though thoroughly, haven't we? I believe we have.
I think the
Yeah, we have.
question is wholesaling, and that is always the answer. What I
We
tell
have.
everyone, try both. Try to do both.
Okay,
Right?
yeah. So for
There we go.
Zach's, go pull yourself a
Right.
list. Go get that list. Start calling. Um, you know, do the list things. You need the dialer. You need the list. You need to know the code violation area where to get that, and then start calling. And then you might make 200 to 400 calls and get yourself a deal. For mine, go to Zillow.com and call somebody whose house is not sold. That's all.
There we
That's
go. Simple as
anyway.
that. Here's
Yeah.
the cool part. You have hundreds of people that have gotten deals from your method, right? That you publicly talk about. Um, I got inspired by you. So every single time I get a DM from somebody, I'm screenshotting it and I'm putting it on my Instagram under the receipts column because I don't know anyone's name on there. So same thing like you, just go under there. Just you can message all those people on Facebook and just hey, what did you do and how can I do it? Just like I say, if that Garrett Gross guy, right? I would message him on Discord, say, hey, how did you do it and what can I do to do just like you? I bet he's not going to gatekeep. I guarantee he probably won't, right? Would he? I don't think so.
No, I don't
Probably
believe so.
not.
I don't believe so. No, no, no. I think that there's enough to go around, guys. Like he already can't do his leads as they are.
My people
All
won't
you
do it
gotta
either.
do, all you gotta do to be a killer and hold my hand wholesale is like help other people. Help you learn the methods yourself, and then once you do, help other people, and then other people are just gonna flood your DMs with deals. So there you go.
There we go. I think next episode we should do a wholesaling creative, but we should have Rick in on, and you guys could both talk about. I want you to just hear his stories on creative deals. I think he's got so many stories about how to structure creative in the craziest ways. Because I think we need to do a creative probate episode because I think that's something your people are lacking. And I think if you guys
I
go
don't
on
know.
probates, you can do really well.
I don't know shit about probate, but I know that Rick Ginn is a powerful, handsome stud of a man. I'd love to meet him.
All right.
All right.
All right.
He's like, I'm from Florida. Don't joke about that. Don't joke about that. I'm from Florida. That's very serious.
I asked I asked my friends when I went to Germany, I said, could I wear a back-to-back World War II champ shirt? And they said that's not a good idea. That's how crazy I am. I was gonna wear that in Germany, just two. And they said that's probably not a good idea. And so I didn't do it. But that's how
Germany.
that's a Florida. Germany, they're really nice. I like Germany. It was cool. They've chilled out. But
I haven't been. But
I'm trying to get out of wholesale.
anyways, guys, I'm going live in like 6 minutes again, so y'all can stick on here. I'm gonna end it momentarily, get some back stretches in, then I'm gonna do it again. But
All
this
right.
time like ages. Okay. Dude, that was great.